up, everybody? Welcome on into the call-up from our AT&T 5G virtual studios. I'm Susanna Collins. That is my beautiful co-host, Jillian Sakovitz. I am so excited to talk to you today because you are my best friend, and I feel like I have been needing my best friend this week.
Why?
Jill.
What happened?
I am on a complete and utter sports emotional roller coaster.
No.
Between
is this about the Cubs?
It's in there.
Okay.
The emotions of the Olympics, like highs and lows. I cry when people win. I cry when people lose. Then, yes, the Cubs dismantled their entire team, the team that won the World Series in 2016. I can hardly talk about it. That happened. Then the U.S. men's national team win the Gold Cup against Mexico. Then the U.S. women's national team lose in the Olympics to Canada. And then, it's just like I am a pendulum swinging. I have been in tears.
Is that really anything new after the past year or two?
I just feel like
this sounds pretty. It sounds just like another day in the life.
It's so funny. So I was watching the Gold Cup, and Alexi Lalas, after the U.S. men's national team pulled out that sensational win against Mexico, he was so emotional, and he kept saying, he was kind of apologizing. He was like, "I know it's just sports. I know it's just soccer. I know it's just a game," but I was like, "I get it. Like." It does matter.
You devoted your life to
matters to my
American soccer, and we have been incredibly disappointed for years. And then all of a sudden, we get this bow on what has just been a very promising month that I would describe in a humble performance. No egos, no arrogance, just going out there and leaving it all on the field. And it's a beautiful thing.
It is beautiful.
You and Alexi Lalas, could probably have a good cry session.
It's just been, honestly,
you're more of a crier than I.
Oh, and I do. I get teary over pretty much anything these days. But honestly, like the whole Olympic situation, all of the sports drama, it's just been like a very sports induced emotional roller coaster that I have been on. And I was like, I just need to see my bestie. I need her to like make me feel even again. I don't know. Am I the only one out there that's feeling this? I just feel like it's
no. I had like one teary eye, and I spoke to Moadu after the game, who was alongside Alexi Lalas at the desk, and he admitted he hadn't slept yet. Next day I was like, woo woo. Also, soccer.
They were in Vegas.
Soccer in Vegas. We're gonna get to that in a moment. And then I asked him if he cried, and he said no. And I'm like, not even one tear. Are you sure? I had like half
he got
a
misty.
Tear. We're gonna get to soccer in Vegas in a moment. But first off, Susanna Collins, something that I think will keep you emotionally stable. Is Matias Almeyda continuing to serve us very quality looks, whether he means it or not. The flow that we've come to love might be kind of gone.
All right.
But this really brought me back to the Tata Martino era, who was known for his capes. And I think the adorable part about this is Tata would always have on his very bulky sweatshirt as a cape, and it looked legit. Well, Matias Almeyda had like a sheer sweater. And it was like this very dainty little cape, but I'm so here for it. I'm happy that the Argentines are bringing the capes back to MLS. It is August. I'm not sure why the capes, but they run cold.
I hate to say it. I feel like that's kind of me. I am perpetually cold. Like always cold. Even
cold, crying.
Yeah, it's just
come on.
My body, it's just like I'm not regulated at all emotionally, my body temperature, nothing. This is wild, y'all. As we mentioned, the Gold Cup final taking place at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, literally steps from the Strip. And we were first privy to this special feature thanks to an Instagram story from Stu Holden, who was calling the match. So there is a legit nightclub on the field. I would expect nothing less from Las Vegas, okay? This is where the Raiders play. It's a new stadium, but it's called the Winfield Club, okay? 11,000 square feet, bottle service, 2 DJ booths, 42 televisions, and here, get this, okay? Table reservations in the North End can starts at $10,000 and can go as high as $50,000. But it looks like it is nightclub tables. It is those booths with the little place to put the bottle, and it is
But behind the goal.
behind the goal. And I'm thinking, this is, I mean, it's soccer. Like, am I here for this? And I'm going, you know what? Yes, I am here for this. If I could afford it, I would be sitting there sipping my champers, watching the game, taking it all in my cozy little booth, listening to DJ spin some tunes.
I'll be honest with you, Suze. I think it sounds like a great place for the call up to do a live broadcast. Yes. However, I think from watching a game perspective, the issue with that is I would not be watching the game. I'd be running around looking at all the TVs. I'd be dancing around the DJ. I'd be seeing like what's going on. And then I probably by the end of the game, especially if it's an NFL game, would be asleep in the booth by like the final few minutes. Because if you've been like partying behind the goal like that, I'd be afraid that I might end up taking a little snooze in the booth because you can't go that hard and then also pay attention.
As somebody who attended the University of Illinois and watched many a football game when the team was terrible, I passed out at several of those games due to the pre-partying festivities beforehand, and sleeping on a bleacher, which I have done. Not so fun. Not so fun. The booth. I mean, get me. I just cozy.
Do we sound like old ladies talking about how we're crying, we run cold, and we want to take naps? And we want to take naps in nightclub booths. I feel like we do. We'd like to give a shout out to. We need to get the name Maxi Moralez's son, because they had a gender reveal after NYC's 4-1 win over Columbus.
Holy moly, they're on fire.
This ball, Susanna Collins, with his left foot and his
sign him up.
They literally looked on the first strike and they looked shocked. Baby girl coming to the Moralez family. And honestly, I am so not here for gender reveals.
I hate gender reveal parties. Do you remember? No, Jill, do you remember that story about how a gender reveal party started the wildfires out in California? Because people set off freaking fireworks and caused a wildfire, and people lost lives and homes. However, this is the first time I have seen a gender reveal where I was actually like, well, that was cool. And it was all because of Maxi's son absolutely crushing that kick.
Time now for our AT&T 5G call to the field. What a day. Now, Charlotte FC is not going to play an MLS match until 2022, but you don't have to wait any longer. Because they have been making some waves, and we are so pleased to welcome in Premier League champion and now the newest addition to Charlotte FC's roster, defender Christian Fuchs. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, ladies.
Now, he's not only a Premier League champion and now the face of Charlotte FC, but you also have the best social media handle, perhaps in the world, no Fuchs Given. So I just want to start off with that. It's honestly perfection.
You love it, no?
It's the best. I mean, with the last name like Fuchs, you had to have fun with it, right?
Yeah.
Of course, it's a play on my last name, but what people don't know is that my last name is not any curse or anything like that. It's German and it means fox. Simple.
Right.
Simple.
Right. Simple as that.
Right? It's a beautiful animal, really. So
it is.
Yes, absolutely. Well, welcome in. Welcome to MLS. The signing was a long time coming with all the conversations before this pandemic even began. What are your biggest takeaways so far about Charlotte?
That it's a nice city, that everybody will understand that joke that everything is 10 minutes away. Number one joke. It's a small city, but at the same time, a big city. It's growing a lot, and the people here are very nice. I felt really welcome right away. They're really supportive, and I'm playing now for Charlotte Independence for the next couple of months to keep myself fit, to get the competition in my legs, and then be ready for 2020 when we start up with Charlotte FC.
We're going to talk all things Charlotte and MLS in a little bit, but let's go back a little bit. You were part of Leicester City for 6 years, including what is surely the most remarkable sports story of all time, that 2015-16 season. According to Vegas, you guys had a 1 in 5,000 chance, a worse chance than Elvis being alive of winning the Premier League. These are the things sports dreams are made of. For some of our newer listeners that maybe don't follow European soccer, don't follow the Premier League, can you take us back to that year and something that you'll keep with you forever?
So let's put on the time machine. Yeah, it has been 5,000 to 1 odds, 100%. And that just makes me believe that Elvis is alive.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Definitely.
So Elvis fans out there, yes, he is alive. You just have to look very closely. What do I take away from that? There has been a couple of great stories around that year. Obviously, winning the trophy, lifting the trophy was phenomenal. But some people were placing odds, right? They were placing money on those odds, and they pulled out just like 10 games before the end. So they saw the big money coming in. All those betting companies tried to pay them out, lure them out with a little bit of money compared to the big pot that you would get. And they did well so, but some have shown me their tickets after we won the season, and I gotta tell you, their paycheck was really high at that time. It was a really, really good year with most of the people in England, their second favorite team besides of whatever team they support, and you have to understand they're really hardcore fans. When you support one team, you're a lifelong supporter. But they all wanted us to go for it, to win it. So even if Tottenham at the end lost out, became third in a 2-horse race, their fans were still happy that it was not an Arsenal who won it or Chelsea who won it. So bottom line is everybody was happy for Leicester City, and I was very happy as well.
I mean, I think the entire world was cheering for Leicester that season. And admittedly, I'm a diehard Liverpool fan, Christian, and I was just all in on Leicester. We all love a good underdog story, you know? Like it's just the essence of sports. So we are so grateful to you for sharing a little bit about that.
It inspires. Now it inspires a lot of people, right?
It does.
To make the impossible possible. And I think there was a new word created a new slogan created in America, especially I heard it, doing a Leicester.
Pulling a Leicester.
Yeah. So
we're gonna implement that into MLS circles too. Because MLS, I don't know if you're aware, Christian, but it's kind of a crazy league and anything can happen. Anything can happen. So pulling a Leicester is entirely plausible.
Just wait a little bit. In 1.5 years, we're gonna say doing a Charlotte, huh?
Talk to me a little bit about the point of getting to Charlotte, because you've had such an incredible story and journey to get here. Born in Austria, you were the captain of the national team there. You spent time in the Bundesliga, the Premier League, obviously, and now you're in a new league and it's not just a new league for you; it's literally a brand new team that hasn't even taken the field yet. Why was this such an appealing option for you?
There are two components to that for me. The first one was Steve Walsh. You might not know him. So Steve Walsh was the head scout, or one of the head scouts at Leicester City. So he basically made me Premier League champion. And Steve Walsh is consulting also with Charlotte FC, and we had a meeting about, is it now already 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago or something, where he said, listen, there's this new club coming to the MLS, new expansion team, and really got to check it out. And if you're done here with Leicester, whenever that is, right, I think that's something you should consider. Luckily, okay, I'm very, very careful what I'm saying here right now. Luckily, it was delayed by 1 year, right? So I had another opportunity to work under Brendan Rodgers at Leicester City and be there for another year. Now that the expansion was delayed by a year, so that was really cool. And the second part to it is, I mean, how many times in a professional career can you be a part of a brand new club? It's very rare that you have this privilege to be a part of something very new and, build it from scratch, give your input. And this was something very enticing for me. I could have gone somewhere different at different places, but, Steve Walsh and this excitement about being a part of a brand new club from startup, and also being a part of a bigger franchise with the Carolina Panthers. That's something really enticing for me.
Okay, so you mentioned the Carolina Panthers, my friend. You said being a kicker.
We're friends already. We're friends already.
Absolutely. If you come on the pod,
friends on the show.
you come on the pod, we are automatically besties. It's just kind of an unwritten rule.
I see.
You've said that being an NFL kicker is a goal of yours. Charlotte FC owner David Tepper just also happens to own the team you mentioned, the Carolina Panthers, who you share a stadium with. So, question, have you been taking your practice kicks? Have you befriended any NFL players and any offers? Well, I guess it's a little early for offers because you're trying to still prolong the soccer career.
Meanwhile, kickers can go pretty long, no? In their mid-40s. So I still have 12 years for that. Yes, I've done my kicking. Guess what? When we in the year when we won the Premier League, the NFL is always coming to London for the franchise games over there. And I knew the commercial director of the NFL in London, and he arranged that for me. So that went down pretty well, I would say, without having any kicking, coaching, training whatsoever, because it's a different technique. You have to lean forward with an NFL ball. You have to lean backwards. So that was kind of awkward to me, but still 1 out of 3 from 60 yards was not
60 yards.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm kicking balls my whole life.
Wow! Wow!
Whoa!
But at the same time, and that's another connection with the Carolina Panthers. At the same year, that was 15-16. I think it was more towards at the beginning of 2016. We had a collaboration between Leicester City and Carolina Panthers. So you can see me when you look on the internet. You can see me wearing a number 1 Carolina Panthers jersey, where we did some kicking over there with them. They did some football over here, and because it was the story that year of the 2 underdogs that were really crushing the league. Ours went out to be very successful. Panthers didn't make it then in the Super Bowl, but nevertheless, it was very interesting.
So this has been a long time coming.
I was going to say serendipity
in Carolina.
Absolutely.
It's perfect. It's literally like you couldn't script it any better. Let's get a little personal, Christian, because I know one of the reasons why you wanted to make the move to the States is because this is where your family has been, and you have been apart from them for the entire time. Yes, your wife and your kids, which, I mean, credit to this woman. My goodness. How did you make that work while you were away, when you're only seeing each other, in these small increments?
If you want to make it work, you make it work. That's what it is. It has been 9 years that they were living here and I was living over there, and various reasons, right? Job, school, children. Yep. So it simply didn't work out, and the plan was all the time for me to come here anyway. It was interesting because when I signed for Leicester, we already did this transatlantic partnership for 3 years. It was 3 years. And I said, okay, listen, I'm going to Leicester, 3 more years, that's it. And then another year, and another year. Guess what? Another year. And those 3 turned into 6. But overall, I've experienced a lot with Leicester City, from the highest heights to the lowest points that you can imagine. And those 6 years were simply too good to let. You're right. All credit to my wife and my children for being so patient and being willing to travel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not really able to travel with the tight schedule that you have throughout the season. But all credit to them. Without that desire and without that willingness to travel, it probably would have not been possible.
So what is it like now that you are in the States? I mean, has that been an adjustment? It's like, oh, hey, we're seeing each other a lot more now. Is it kind of like this? Like,
well, I'm here alone.
You're in Charlotte. So she's still in New York. When does the big reunion finally happen? When will you all be together in the same place?
Yeah, Good question.
Tough question, Suze.
Well, yeah, it's a very tough one, and I have to be careful what I'm saying because she's not here with me right now. We didn't make those plans yet.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in New York for 8 weeks, for the last 8 weeks.
Okay.
I'm here for 10 days. I'm here in Charlotte. Which felt great, honestly, which was amazing to be with my kids all the time and be a father finally. They're not going to move down here. They're still going to stay. Kids are in good schools, not taking them out, leaving them there. It's all about the education. So I'm here for 1 + 1 years. So hopefully I'm here for 2 years. I really want to stay here and build the club. Again, it's traveling. It's traveling for my wife a lot again.
Listen, that's a shorter flight.
That's a short flight.
New York and Charlotte than it is between the UK.
And credit to you for keeping your kids grounded, not moving them all over the country, because we've talked to players and coaches about how challenging that can be on kids. So Christian, credit to you for being a great dad. How old are your kids?
3, 6, and 12.
Woo!
So see, you're right that the distance changes a lot. The flight is 1 hour 15 or something. And
it's easy.
Door to door last time when we traveled down here was 4 hours. Door to door to England was about 13 hours. So that cuts it pretty short. And the time in the air is definitely much, much shorter than before.
On top of being a soccer player, an amazing dad, you also have a PR company, a football academy, an esports team.
Keep going.
I remember when, because I do esports commentating along with Suze, and I'm like, new Fuchs Given. Okay. For E-League. So you also covered the Euros for ESPN just like a few weeks ago. Where did this entrepreneurial spirit come from?
I went to business school in Austria, so I have my business degree, and it was.
So you are very smart.
It was always a big interest of me to create something myself. So when I was a young Fuchs, I'm still young. Okay?
Yes, come on now.
But when I was a young Fuchser, I always had the urge to find something that's interesting me besides of playing the game, but something on the side. And I think that helped me very early to think about what's happening after my career. It was literally mid-20s when I thought that way, and one thing led to the next one and the next one, and I really love what my wife and I we are doing. She's the brain, I'm the face.
Obviously.
No, it's you can do something and just stick your name to it, or you can do something and really be behind it and really make sure that things work the way you want them to be. And that's what it is. So if you see something that's called No Fuchs Given or Fuchs Academy or Hudson Sports Complex or No Fuchs Given, or just to name them again, then you understand it's really me behind it. And I'm really working hard every day to make people happy.
Christian, I have to ask you, when I was looking up your long laundry list of other pots that you have your hand in, one of them is an academy north of New York City, the Fox Soccer Academy. So I guess when you're enticing children and families, you can't call it the No Fuchs Given Academy. So the Fox Soccer Academy, I got it in Warwick, New York. They call it upstate New York, but I am a Hudson Valley native. So
really?
I know that it's not upstate. The Hudson Valley, though, is beautiful. How did you end up having your academy in the Hudson Valley?
Yeah, that's a good question. So initially we started Fox Soccer Academy just because my son was signed up to one of those camps, academies in New York, and all they did literally was, it was a very expensive childcare. Let's call it that way. And we said, listen, we have the resources, we have the know-how, let's just do it ourselves. And that's how it started in 2014, 2015. And ever since it's growing. The only issue, and you will know that as well, because when you're from the Hudson Valley, you also can't sometimes at least go to New York City. And it's an issue of space. So you really struggle every day, it's every year in the fight of getting field space. And all we wanted literally was one field. It was one field, that's it. Somewhere, I know it's not New York City because you don't get anything for the price, but somewhere around New York City, 1 hour radius. And we ended up buying a prison. That's what it is. So it was a former prison, former correctional facility. by Roosevelt, who built it as a correction facility for bad boys back then in the, I don't know, early 1900s.
Yes, it was a medium security prison.
Wow.
My dad, as a New York State worker, had been to that correctional facility, and now it's a beautiful soccer field.
He was not an inmate.
It's not inmate.
But just to clarify.
Just to clarify.
And then it was rebuilt, and it was fields were put in, and we took it off bankruptcy. And ever since we are running not only the football at the soccer academy, or we also run a prison which is a sports complex, basically.
That's incredible. That's an incredible story.
No,
and I love
still doing prison tours as well, just so you know, because there's a lot. No, honestly, there's a lot of history there. It's from barbershops that are in those dormant. I mean, there's 17 buildings on there.
one of the things that you have said that has impressed you about MLS, and particularly the growth of the league over the last few years, is the commitment to the youth academies and youth development. How big of a factor is that for you when you kind of visualize like what Charlotte is going to be, what FC Charlotte is going to look like? Like how big of a part is that youth development in your mind?
I mean, we see it in all European leagues. Every professional club has their youth academy from the earliest ages up to when they push forward and try to break into the first team. I know that Charlotte has 3 teams right now, and it's always, of course, it's a long process and a tough process, obviously, when you're a new club to build this infrastructure, right? But I mean, I'm playing now with Grant and with Adam at the Independence, young players, 19 years, 24, 25 years, who are definitely a future for the Charlotte and very promising. And it can only help the MLS overall not to try to get a lot of foreign players in right away, but really help the youth, their own youth, to break into the first team. I mean, you see with the national team, new players, new faces, and there are always new faces coming out, and a lot of those players then go to Europe. So, building them up, creating good players over here, which then probably are looking to play in Europe, is a great course for the MLS.
Christian, before we let you go, let me ask you, who's one friend or one person that you'd like to see come over and join you here in North America in MLS? And on the other side of things, who's your good friend that's already here in the league? Someone you already know.
I know Daniel Royer.
Oh, New York Red Bulls. We love
Austrians sticking together.
We love Danny Royer.
Of course. I mean, Red Bull is Austrian overall. And I also know the head coach of Red Bull, Schuber.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in touch with them. Who do I want to come over? Probably one of those players that I don't know. Do you know Shinji Okazaki?
Was he on Leicester?
Yes, he was on Leicester here.
Okay, so
team?
former
Okay.
teammate.
Former teammate. He's a hell of a character. He's always smiling. I think that's in his nature.
All right, let's bring him.
Japanese player, but a hell of a character. Great player as well, obviously, but what a character.
We need characters in MLS.
Yes,
we need more of that. So bring him on over. Give
Sign
him
him
a
up.
hard sell. We're ready for it.
I can guarantee you that he will smile nonstop.
Aw,
We love that.
Yeah, he's lovely too.
Which is what we all need right now. Christian Fuchs, thank you so very much for giving us your time today. We cannot wait to see what you do on the pitch. We feel very lucky to have you in the league.
What is on tap? Well, a lot. The summer of soccer continues as the League's Cup quarterfinals kick off on August 10th with Sporting Kansas City taking on Lyon. Sounders taking on Tigres. NYC takes on Pumas on the 11th, followed by Orlando City SC taking on Santos Laguna on August 12th.
Let's go. Also, don't forget about CONCACAF Champions League, y'all, because the Philadelphia Union are still in it. They're taking on Club America on August 12th in the semifinals. So for the full schedule of Champions League, head on over to MLSsoccer.com. Jim Curtin, our guy, keeping our fingers and toes crossed for him.
That's right. Jim Curtin told us just about a week ago on the call up about
Yep.
how important that game is for them. It was a great interview. So if you missed it, check it out. Highlight of 2021 for sure. And a reminder, there's still time to submit your skills video to win an all-expense paid trip to Los Angeles to hang out with me and Susanna Collins and some other people, maybe Carlos Vela, who knows, to the MLS All-Star Game. Upload your videos to Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter and use the hashtag #SkillsAnywhere and #contest to enter.
Oh, baby. I have yet to come up with something creative for that, but I'm going to try. I mean, I know I'm going to LA anyway, but there is time. Also, guys, next week, we're not going to tell you what's happening next week, but the call up, there's some
monumental moment, really.
A big development in the call up next week, which has been a long time coming. We'll just say that. And leave it. Was that a good little teaser? Was that a good little nugget?
So we'll see you next week in a very cool way.
Yay! Can't wait.
Bye.
See ya. What's up, everybody? It is Susanna Collins and Jillian Sakovitz, co-hosts of The Call Up. And if you want more Call Up action, hit like and subscribe right here on YouTube, right there.
And also make sure that you download every episode of The Call Up every single Tuesday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time or anywhere that you get your podcasts. And while you're here, why not check out some of these other videos as well?